And a big early welcome to all of our NA viewers finally getting to tune into the LPL for the very first time. We are at Chongqing at the Snake Pit. And of course, with our opening matchup being Snake taking on Vici Gaming, we have to start with a bit of a banger for you. A big welcome again. It has been a long journey so far in the LPL, and we are almost at our halfway point there. But in the Snake Pit, what better place to be at? My name's Sheikh Derek Sasipenka, joined by Barreto Raz Muhammad. And a big welcome back to you, good sir.
Oh, thank you. The fact that we get to come back to a Snake series to start us all off, I'm always excited to see this team because they always have something interesting to show us.
That's right, and Snake have been on the verge of making more of those upsets, starting off the season well, but more about that a little bit later. All of you missed yesterday's games, and I'm very sorry to say, because after yesterday, I'm confident in EDG again.
A little bit more so, and remember, that was ClearLove's return game. I didn't expect it to happen, and I didn't even think that it was going to happen simply because Hara was having good times. Came out, had a great showing at Worlds, larger champion pool.
Yep.
When ClearLove came in, you knew exactly what you were going to get, the Skarner gameplay. And you know what also came along with it? Discipline, slower play, something EDG sorely needed, and you got to see it when they took the win versus
Finally getting some of that structure exactly right. EDG able to get that win as well. This means it puts them back on the path of victory, puts them above teams like Victory 5 and WE that were threatening their standings.
And on top of that, if you look to the far right of the standings, in the streak corner, finally we've gotten to the point of the split, week 5, where it really starts to matter. If you look towards teams like, I would just say, TOP. 4-win streak.
Yep.
The first series that they had was up against Invictus Gaming, where they lost. EDG, even though that's their first win in quite some time, they've been winning and losing. The last series that they had before their victory versus Suning was RNG, and it was a really sick series to watch too. So EDG's on the up and up.
Coming off the back of that RNG series as well, on that point, EDG looked absolutely fantastic. So damn right, and I'm hoping to see more of them, but not today. We begin with Snake and Vici Gaming, but looking further down the track, we're going all over China today, Raz.
Yeah, we're from Chongqing to Hangzhou, and then we land in Beijing, where we have our match of the week, RNG versus TOP. That one is going to be a sick series to watch because TOP finally gets tested. They had a very easy strength of schedule for the first 3 weeks. I mean, just taking away the Invictus Gaming series that they had, they were able to slaughter OMG. They went on the tracks of SDG, and then finally going up against RNG, JDG. This is a hell of a week that they had, just staying put in Beijing, and looks like they're looking really strong so far.
I'm so glad we actually have Uzi back to watch that matchup as well, because it might not have been as exciting. Speaking of exciting though, and remember we welcomed all the NA viewers for the first time internationally, we're at a better time for people to tune in. I know you will stay tuned until that RNG TOP series. We begin with Snake, we begin with Vici. Well, I've got it, Raz. The idea behind Vici was very strong for me, but Vici have slumped in the past couple of weeks.
Slumping? I know you have a strong heart for this team. This year simply because of their new squad, specifically, developing their talents.
Yep.
Puff and Southwind came out strong for the team. And slowly we're starting to see Jay and Chelizi starting to come in. Last series for me really nailed in what are the problems here for Vici Gaming. Just because they went up against Victory 5. Victory 5 known for just their skill in the top side of the map in mid lane. So their solo laners were incredibly strong.
Yep.
You're just talking about Jinu's talents alongside Korn. Both of them were MVPs in a 3-game series. They were the players that wanted out in the laning phase. This is issues that we're starting to see for Vici Gaming. Because in the laning phase, they're starting to have problems in their solo lanes. And then when they were in elongated fights, if they can get the initial pick, fine. They worked hard for it. But then in terms of just raw mechanics, as the fight gets longer, Korn and Jinu's talents become a lot more proficient. They're sewn.
Yep.
So I think something that we need to see as Vici continue on in their path is they just look closer at their team fights. Individual members need to ask themselves questions. What am I doing in this position? Should we just pull out and look towards the dragon later on? These are questions that veteran players already have answers to.
Yeah.
And if you're going up against Victory 5, they've had those answers and they came out with the victory.
And it was kind of a showing for Vici to prove that they are going to be one of those top 8 teams, or maybe middle of the pack, which definitely said a lot a couple of days ago. But for Vici against Victory 5, now you're losing that faith. Maybe similar to Snake, and when drafting comes into play here, it feels like Vici maybe more solidified this year, but for Snake, a couple of questions back and forth.
Yeah, I think that if we're looking towards Snake, a lot of it comes into the veteran members that I talked about, because the coaching staff has been there with the team for quite some time.
Very true.
And so I want to throw up a draft that they had in Game 3 versus Billy, the series that they lost. And if you see from BLG's side of it, there are a lot of wrenches thrown into it. The Cassiopeia that can go to bottom lane, mid lane, and they understood that. I think Snake, what they've done throughout the entire split has been strong. They had the Lissandra priority pick coming in there. That's exactly what you would want.
Yeah.
And then you go to the AD carry and support. They usually put them on the first rotation because they want to have strong team fighters, strong priority picks that will lose out in the laning phase early on, but that's not their point. They're supposed to be the weak side of the map. They want to play towards the top side. And so when it finally gets to the second phase, and we get to see the pick here from both the veteran players of SofM and Flandre, ordinarily their picks are just fine. Like, either they get the Aatrox in that side of the map and we get to see an Aatrox jungle. In this series, we get to see Flandre really tunnel in on a specific matchup, and then the whole composition falls flat. So where's the Scion in this one? It wasn't banned here, and so you don't get to see the Scion pick when you want the frontliners for your team fight bottom side. Because if I'm going to say who's the most the strongest player coming in for this team throughout the split, the most consistent one, surprisingly, it's Asura. They've had that answer for a few weeks too. Asura has come out with massive damage, also great positioning in team fights, but oftentimes isn't set up to succeed in the compositions later on in the game when you don't have the frontliners there. So it doesn't have to necessarily be a Scion pick. What it does need to be is a team fighter. Orin can work in that run as well. And even if you have Jace, if you decide, okay, we're going to be playing to the carry top side of Flandre, and you pick up Jace or Kennen or something, then that creates another win condition for you. In that composition, and more we're starting to see from Snake, they're starting to lack real win conditions, and they're trying to be all over the map.
And to be fair as well, in this matchup, maybe they do prioritize more of that bottom lane, considering how Vici have been playing around Puff and Southwind. Let's digress a little bit further though, Raz, because with Snake, the mid lane has been interjected back and forth between Andy and Marla, and at the moment, not too sure who the better one is, but let's read out the rosters for some of the newer viewers here. Chelizi in the top lane, Ike's in the jungle, Jay, Puff, and Southwind, who still have some of the best stats in the league in the bottom lane. I'm
just surprised that after, they've had a 10-man roster, they have enough faith to leave these players on the map. Puff and Southwind, I'm not concerned about, but it's Jay and Chelizi that have really started to grow onto to their new roles on the team, and they're giving them the time to do that. Vici has not ordinarily done that. Now looking towards Snake, Flandre in the top lane with SofM in the jungle. Mala coming in this time around for the mid lane position, the Korean import. And then for the bottom side of the map, Asura and Maestro rounding out the AD carry and support.
And Mala is back, that's right. Andy played the very last series, and it was a difficult showing for him on that Lissandra, but bringing Mala back into the mix, there were still some concerns there, and I'm questioning whether this is the right call or whether they should give Andy more game time.
So it always comes down to champion pool for me, because when they did bring in Andy, it wasn't with the champion picks that he is known for. He had that one Jace game, but he came out with 2 Lissandra picks, not only because it is overpowered in the meta, because it is what makes Snake so strong, having mid priority and being the supportive player for your jungler, for SofM. That was the role of Wogwa the last year in 2018. They would pick Orianna, he would pick more, shove and rotate, and he would try and shield and protect SofM early on in his rotation, so he would get proper jungle priority. This time around, it's been the exact same goal for Mala. It's been a communication error, and at times mechanical errors that have drawn him back. Andy is supposed to be a stronger individual player. That's how they set him up. That's what the team themselves had come out and said. And then on top of that, he's known as an assassin. So the only reason why they're not shoring him up is because it messes up the team flow. Not only is the team composition and his role not suited for the team, Andy that is, but also they've said that Mala is a more consistent player. The reason why they've been bringing Andy in the last series is because if we're talking about consistency, Mala has been consistently poor. So it's good to change that up. It's just unfortunate the last time we saw Andy in Game 3, he went on like 1-7 on the Lissandra
it was even worse. It was 1-9. But again, Snake are just trying to find their flow. So you can definitely respect bringing Mala back into the roster. Remember, Snake, until this year, Crystal was there as one of the foundation players alongside Flandre in the top side of the map. Now, Crystal and Hoodye are both inactive on this roster. We haven't seen no hide nor hair. Bringing up Asura and Maestro in the bottom lane, I do like this, and I want to see more focus, as you asked for before. Yeah,
I'm really happy that Asura and Maestro are coming into their own, because if you were to ask me on preseason, I've been asked this question a lot, like, why isn't Crystal and Hoodye playing? Is it because they are worse players? And at the time, I was like, no, Crystal's a fine player. He's a good AD carry in the league. He's better than Jin Zhao. He's rounding out the mid pack. If you want to rate him on a list. And then Hudier, I had him actually ranked fairly high as a support. I thought his recon was excellent. So bringing in Maestro and Asura were definitely a risk. That was a risk, and it paid off. The only thing that isn't paying off is the mid lane, which has become a hole for the map here for Snake. And even then they're finding themselves early game leads 15 minutes on, but then they are not able to actually lock it in 20 minutes, 25 minutes. They're just making random errors across the map, so they need to keep focused, disciplined. They need a clear love of their own.
They do.
That EDG has for themselves.
And honestly, Snake, their early game, if you looked at that holistically, you say, wow, Snake, what a team. How are they not higher than they are? And then, yes, you bring it towards that mid to late game and the transition. Now, Vici and Snake both need a win here, sitting at 1-4 and 1-5 respectively. So let's get into the series.
Now, Cassiopeia being a ban here, that's been a staple ban for Snake, that they themselves are not comfortable playing in the mid lane. And I haven't seen Asura really pick it up in solo queue either. So for this team, even when they find themselves on blue side, they don't want to even have the Cassiopeia in the equation.
It's been led through a couple of drafts so far in the LPL, but again, not oversighting here. Jace is the ban, Aatrox as well. I like the Lucian ban against Asura, considering that the bot side of the map, as we talked about, would be highly prioritized for Vici Gaming.
Galio is a huge priority for both of these teams. In the LPL, Galio as a pick has fallen to the wayside, but for some teams that are not about their mid laners. I know a lot of teams in the league are known for their mids, have really call attentions around their mid lane talent. These are the two teams that don't, so they use them as utility positions. I wouldn't be surprised if Chelizi actually picks up the Galio for him. That being said, it's going to be the Zoe pick.
Okay, so Jay had a lot of success in the previous series, and it was Jay who we finally started talking about in the spotlight. Good to see that this has hovered, and the pick priority in 9.2 still there for the mid lane spell mage.
I mean, Zoe is strong matchups into both options of Lissandra and Galio. That if you have the ability to support her early on with great control wards on side so she doesn't get ganked repeatedly, that she starts to take over the matchup. She has priority through, being able to one-shot the back line. And once she pushes you under tower, so easy to land those sleepy trouble bubbles. So I want to be able to see Vici Gaming, yeah, sure, have great laning phases in the bottom side of the map, but then support Jay early on so you can get Zoe roaming.
It's also a pick that fits his playstyle very well, considering we haven't seen any of those AD
really?
assassins just yet. Yes, really. Asura and Maestro locked down the Thresh Kalista combo.
That is insane. That's them coming in with a new plan. Because they do, as I talked about with their pick and ban, they will pick their duo lane early on. But the fact that they picked what is one of the strongest in the history of the game, Kalista and Thresh.
Oh, hang on.
And I would expect them to actually prioritize looking to gank bottom lane off that pack. Remember, Jarvan is a high priority for SofM in the past. I expect that to be the same here. And if that's going to be the case, then Tahm Kench is probably the most valuable pickup you can have from Vici Gaming.
Yeah, that's right. And they pick up the Ashe to kind of counteract the play there as well. A lot of pick potential so far on both sides. But Snake hovering over the possibility of this Viktor again. The question in which lane it goes into is still up for grabs, but they will not prioritize junglers in this first phase.
More likely that the Viktor goes up top lane because that has been a Flandre pickup.
Yep.
Knowing that Urgot has been banned, he doesn't even have to really worry about that lane. So in terms of just laning phase setup, they've set up Flandre to actually be on an island here. I would expect SofM to say, okay, you have the Viktor matchup and show you can get dove if you have an aggressive enough jungler on Vici's side, but you should be able to always have even or more gold with the Klepto pickup. So I'm thinking pick the Viktor top side and then have SofM really hone into the bottom lane. So I would love to see Vici Gaming start to ban some junglers here.
Well, the ban Lissandra instead, still prioritizing away from that mid lane of Marla. But that was his main pick. That was one of the comfort picks of the Snake mid laner, both of them actually. So honing in on the mid lane instead, giving Ike's maybe a more difficult matchup.
I'm always surprised about the Lissandra ban here, simply because even though it is a very strong pick, it is the reason why you picked up the Zoe. Yep. Zoe has a great matchup into it. It's almost as if they're saying, hey, Mala has such a short champion pool. We picked the Zoe away from him alongside the Lissandra. What is he even going to pick? They don't, like, usually he's gone to the Urgot as well, but that's Snake's ban here. So we're going to be seeing something new from Mala.
Well, hopefully it goes towards something like the Galio.
Maybe
we get a bit of a surprise, but the Jarvan does come through from SofM. Kind of predictable here from Snake. Vici, what is your response? Because Ike's now has to pick a jungler, and there's so many banned off the board.
Predictability isn't a bad thing, especially in the case for Snake. Snake needs to be more predictable at a score of 1 win and 5 losses.
Yeah, that's
You
true.
need to be picking up compositions you know how to play, that you've driven in scrims and on playtime. So right now, I'm seeing, like, even though I didn't predict the Kalista and Thresh, the Jarvan made so much sense. And I think it's going to be a real test of Vici Gaming to protect their bottom lane. Even picking up the Poppy here is just showcasing that they're going to be ready.
Wait.
Double teleport on Vici Gaming, saying that whenever a play comes through, bottom lane is going to be our focus to try and defend.
Hang on a minute.
Oh, wow.
That is a Poppy jungle. Okie dokie. Now, there were some expectations internationally that Kennen was an S-tier pick. In the LPL, this is the second Kennen game we've seen.
So yeah, expect it to be a Kennen top versus the Viktor. He's going to try and take control of the matchup. But the Poppy has actually been known as a good counter pick into the Jarvan jungle.
Yep.
Because Jarvan jungle, how does he trade? How does he go all in? Always goes for a flag and drag. Always. And then defeats the purpose. You know, put down your steadfast presence. You get bounced out. Wall slam. Poppy does a surprising amount of damage based off the double damage wall slam ends up giving you.
Yeah.
So Poppy here, expect her to be the aggressor once Zoe gains control of the mid lane. Topside is looking very scary from Vici Gaming.
It really is. Look at that team fight that just comes on in now with Chelizi. And he's the one who's picked up the Renekton in the past. He's picked up more of a carry matchup. Now going into the Vladimir, you'd be surprised how much fun Kennen can have there, but also how much trades can come back from Flandre.
Especially since he's going up against Flandre's last pick, Vladimir. That one for me is a surprise. Not because Flandre is going on the Vladimir. There's a lot of great Vladimirs out there.
There are.
There's Sandbox Naguri. Being able to see Flandre also be the Vladimir top lane, I love it. One thing that is a question now is the Viktor mid lane. So don't expect that to be a klepto mid lane Viktor. That's when you become a real hole in the map.
Oh, yeah.
That's just bleeding out. So that's the worry. A lot of gold to make up here for the mid lane to be relevant. I really don't like the pick for the Viktor mid. I wonder what we're going to be seeing in terms of an early game here, because Viktor is going to be falling fairly far behind against the Zoe. And then Zoe's going to be looking for the bottom lane. So bottom lane fight's going to be the real point of focus.
Surely this is a change somewhat from Snake, though, especially since Marlo's back in again, and he's actually debuting on his Viktor. A bit of a surprise considering we're expecting Lissandra. Galio was still open there as well. The mid lane is not prioritized.
True. I mean, the Galio was really the only thing that we knew there was comfort for with Mala.
Yep.
So Mala coming out and saying that I've practiced the Viktor, that I know that I can do well in the Viktor matchup versus the Zoe. You know what? Extra movement speed if he evolves his Q, and he can trade well if he evolves his E. If he has gold, he can do well in the matchup, but he needs it first.
So where will SofM go? Well, let's hope it's mid lane. Let's get Marla back on those two wheels towards game number 1 here to open up our Super Day. Vici Gaming take on Snake.
I'm going to throw you under the bus. Saying Super Day. We've had this 2018, 2017.
We had
Our
this discussion
Saturdays
as
and
well.
Sundays have been 3 series days. You just have to get used to it.
And you know what? I hope you say it tomorrow as well. I hope we say it every week. Because
Every week we're calling them Super Days. They're not very super, is it?
No, it's probably not.
This reminds me of a Marvel movie coming out every month. So like this is another an
Another
amazing
superhero
movie. You're like, well, they come a little less super.
This one can grow plants. It's kind of underwhelming. You're exactly right. But 3 series here today, our very first Vici and Snake. Now, taking a look at the rune set, it is going to be the Airy in the mid lane instead of the Klepto, so no hole dug just yet for Marla.
One thing that I do want to focus on is the quadruple Inspiration Tree.
Yep.
Inspiration Tree has been a major pickup since the rune rework actually ended up going through. That you don't have to worry about lacking damage if you can just get now 18 AP or just adaptive damage regardless in your rune stats. So you're going to be seeing a lot more stopwatches. You're going to be seeing a lot more minion dematerializers. Already you're seeing both mid laners having minion dematerializer. It would be worse for Mala. If Mala didn't pick up minion dematerializer, just imagine that. Yep. Not only you're getting your back wave completely cleared early, but then you have the cannon wave constantly being pushed in on you. So expect the minion dematerializers really only being used on the cannon waves that come through. it makes it life a little bit harder for the person without it.
Makes it very easy to stop a lot of those early pushes as well. If you're giving up some of those objectives. Remember, the minion dematerializer, great on a Baron wave, but thinking a bit far ahead. SofM now into the bottom lane. Snake making proactive moves right where they need to be. Southwind caught out, rendered for first blood. SofM hits Puff. The heal comes through as well, forcing out another summoner.
If I didn't make it clear enough for you in the pick and ban, it's going to happen consistently. Them choosing to take down Southwind was the smart choice because level 2, perhaps he took his W, right? You should, honestly, as a Tahm can.
On it yourself.
Just go straight for him. Now Southwind doesn't have flash, Puff doesn't have heal. Guess where Jarvan's going to be going now? Bottom lane. This is such a strong focus coming in from SofM because both Jarvan games, he's gone straight down bot side. So here you go. Buff to buff, goes straight down bot, and he picks up Southwind just through raw damage. Doesn't even need the flag and drag knockup.
And forcing the heal out of Puff as well. It's going to be detrimental to that bottom lane. Ike's goes in, steals Raptors, and doesn't get the red buff, of course, because that was taken. So where is Ike's going to go? Because Marla is pushed a little bit in this lane, but
take a look at this. Not only is Jay low off of this, use his corrupting potions, he must have actually tried to support Ike's invade a little bit too heavily. So Mala doesn't have much mana, which is the major important point. Because even though he has two potions for himself, so he actually has a massive potion advantage. Oh no.
This is brutal.
Maestro's not in position though.
Dragon flag, SofM's walking. They will just look for a turret plating instead. Level 4 now on Jay, so he heals back to half.
So that was a great idea, executed very poorly. If Maestro was where Jarvan was, that would be very effective. Maestro has flash, could look for a hook. Very easy to do it if she's hugging a wall as well. And you would be forcing Jay's flash at the very least, and you'd still be able to get the kill off of that with maybe only a worry off of an answer kill on Maestro. But that's a kill for a kill, and you'd be able to just deny 2 waves completely. So that was just a great idea that wasn't really communicated well between SofM and Maestro. At
least it's that proactivity of the early game that we've talked about a little bit more from Snake, but good to see that the bottom side priority is meaning that SofM can walk up to the mid, which is surprisingly winning well. And Jay is probably going to be forced back. He's still sitting underneath the turret, but CS in the favor of Marla.
And rarely you get to see no teleports on both mid laners. So this is just the good old-fashioned, you know...
Let's play one lane.
Yeah, that's it. And not only just that, because first teleport's always used on mid lane. So it's actually just Zoe keeping behind. She has to stay in lane or else she loses an entire wave. Here we go, though.
Well, Zoe is still low. Jay drops down the Ignite. Marla running for his life. The flash is there. Oh! That's what you hate about Zoe. Where the heck did he get the hose? And he still survives.
He knew that he had the information. He just flashed far too late. That was an issue there for Mala because he was sticking in lane with no mana because he wanted to push his advantage a little further. He didn't have his jungler there. He had that information. He knew that SofM wasn't there. There was no reason for him to hold on to flash that religiously. He needed to just use it.
Also on the other note, Raz, level 5 Zoe has Hextech GLP. So that's a feels bad as well, but first kill over to Jay in the mid lane. It's a lost chapter on his way back now. If this lane was going decently enough for Marla, there's going to be a bit of a struggle now, as it's Sork shoes in the first back for the Viktor.
Let me tell you a fun game. Just watch any mid lane streamer, if you're watching a shifter or whoever. Just watch them as they rank W second, because then it really is just a game of RNG and what they pick up last.
He got it from that last minion wave as well.
Yes. If you get up, I know this was pretty late on, but if you know, level your W second, you look onto the next 2 waves, and it really just decides the matchup for you, which item you end up picking up. If it's just a cleanse, you're like, well, I mean, that's just sad for me. But if it's a proto belt or Hextech GLP, you're like, wow, this is nice. Ardent, I mean, a redemption, you're like, even better.
I mean, Jay started with the redemption, ended with the hose anyway. So.
And that's my major concern with the champion is that although they've nerfed her numbers, she still has that major element in RNG.
That's right. Playing with RNG down in the bottom lane. That's Maestro landing the hook, but SofM's coming in level 5 now. Slowed down, bottom lane flashes. Maestro onto Southwind here. The Dragon Flag doesn't connect, but Ignite does great help. There's a solo kill on the top side of the map. Great devour there. Bottom lane survives. A solo kill for Chelizi on the Kennen.
Okay, there were 2 plays that happened at the same time. Yeah, exactly. That was the play. Multiple members coming into the mid lane and getting another kill on Mala when he was flashless. But the play that we did see was Maestro just being out of range of his play. He was so close that would have been an assured kill on the target, but he wasn't able to get it. But this was the play. Multiple members. Chelizi finding the time to rotate around there. Wall slam, double damage.
Wow.
Kill onto Mala.
He could not move.
Mala had a really tough time there.
0-2 already. Now, this game it feels more like Mala is just being forced into a very bad position rather than some of his own mistakes that we've criticized for him in the past.
Well, I mean, it started with his own mistakes, and this is something you realize.
That's fair.
This is something you realize in any solo queue game, any real competitive game that's just decided on laning phase. You make that first real mistake, that first error that blew your flash, you're going to be a target, no matter what.
Yep.
Multiple members are going to be coming to your lane. You can, you know, spam ping your bottom lane and saying, why is your support coming from, like, why is your support living in my lane? But that's because they had that extra bit of information that you use your flash like an idiot.
Yeah.
So in this instance, I think Mala is really struggling because he is that weak side. They played bottom side and almost got the kill. It's just sad that they didn't get the trade. But now he's playing so far back after he had such a great advantage in lane off that one error.
Remember what we said that Viktor in pick and bam was, you know, maybe a bit more questionable considering that the Zoe was just locked in first rotation for Vici Gaming.
At this point, I'm not going to blame the pick on Viktor because I think it worked far better than it should have in the sense that, like, he had control of the lane, real control.
He did.
So at this point, you don't even blame the pick, you blame the play. I think Mala, after I keep harping on the mistake, but that really is the defining point of the mid lane, is really started to lose it. So that being said, you can already see Jarvan trying to regain control and just look how hard it is. Because that's a counter matchup of Poppy into Jarvan.
Yeah.
So you just have to leave.
We'll eventually clear the ward, but Vici Gaming will do exactly the same. Zoe's doing her damage already with the blasting wand. But for Vici Gaming, playing around this Vision, huge priority on the top side for Vision, huge priority on the bottom side. A lot more wards being taken, and that means this blue buff may not be contested just yet. They land a hook onto Poppy. Maestro goes in, but this is 3 versus 1. Will they kill the support first? No fate calls there. Ike's is into the middle of it as well. Right against the Cataclysm. It backfires. Maestro's going to drop next. No one from Vici's died. See you later. The helicopter sends them skyward.
Wow. They were waiting, biding their time. Ike's used his steadfast presence early, so they're like, okay, Jarvan can come in later on. Maybe we can play the long con. Because Asura had the damage. He just need to be there long enough for the Ren stacks to really apply. But Poppy Ultimate is always that X factor. You don't know how valuable that Poppy Ultimate's going to be. Mala, though, so close. So close to death every time. He had Cleanse there, so you know what? I have faith that he was going to be able to get out of that one.
Yeah, but Cleanse for the Sleepy Trouble was still such a good trade for Vici. Speaking of trades, this worked out in their favor.
So take a look at this, because Maestro assuredly is going to die. He's playing such a long game, and Jarvan just waits. This is a beautiful interaction. Cataclysm comes down, wall slam into his own Cataclysm that takes him out of the fight. So just in how Maestro and SofM played this fight out, they played it as well as they could, knowing that they're playing a longer game for their carries to come in, Mala and Asura. They just got eviscerated. Like, HP bar is just gone from that one.
It's the literal stop hitting yourself with the heroic charge into the Cataclysm. And it feels pretty bad for SofM, but again, to praise the vision of Vici game, you can see SofM is just on duty, clearing out some of the deeper vision towards the bottom side. Vici, it feels like they've put more priority, on vision this game.
This is going to be a big ownership of Vici Gaming, because their composition should now just fly. Jay has a Luden's Echo like 10 minutes into the game.
Yeah.
There is no damage on Mala's side if you're comparing it to Jay's. So Jay should be able to have easy control of mid lane now that he's picked up blue buff. Ike's has just been able to run roughshod on SofM. There are so many fun interactions between Poppy versus Jarvan that really is just not fun for Jarvan.
Definitely not.
And then now if you're just talking about like Ashe and Tahm Kench, which was like the 2018 Sunning special, where they could just have so much utility delivered on any part of the map just based off of Tahm Kench ultimate. I expect Vici Gaming to just clue in, look to the bottom side of the map. Well, they've done enough damage on mid lane that they now can say, hey, send Jay and Ike's towards the bottom side. Teleport's coming up soon from Chelizi. There is no way that Maestro and Asura come out alive. Yeah, get out of there.
Yeah, SofM just peeks over with the blast cone. He backs all the way away. He's actually backing as well, so he's going to give over the Rift Herald. And although there's bottom side priority, it seems like Ike's has just taken over the map at this point as well.
There's not much you can do here other than just scale. Vladimir has actually been the silent player for his team, even though the kill gold's gone to Chelizi when he went to mid lane. You know, Vladimir's been farming well. That being said, you can't just focus on just farming. It's this that really pays off.
Oh my god. Oh my god. Mal almost dies, but caught out Ultimate pops on down, SofM jumps in. The Poppy Hammer does eventually come through, sending SofM back with, well played by Snakes mid 2v2.
That was so clutch. If that was an electrocute Zoe, that's a kill. But that was legitimately them playing that game saying, you know what? That's a sleepy trouble bubble on top of Mala. Let's just cross our fingers, hope he doesn't die, and then just wait for the W to do its job. The zone, the stun that Viktor provided allowed for Jarvan to come in and get the kill. That was really well played.
Remember that with Zoe going down as well, Mala's actually able to push out this wave, move forward, and now back on some decent gold. It did go over to SofM, but nevertheless, gold still in the pockets of Snake. Fell behind 2,000 gold early, now back to 1,000 at the 13-minute mark.
But these are mistakes that, you know, teams below 500 really start to make. That when you look at this composition in the hands of Invictus Gaming, EDG, RNG, like any team around the world, let's just say like maybe even G2 and LEC, where you look at it and say they can make one mistake, sure, but they can run this game home very easily when you have all lanes working in your favor.
Part of the issue with Vici as well, we're going to watch SofM just interact with Ikes.
But they just look like units rather than a team. Here we go.
Arrow misses, but Heroic Charge doesn't. Forces the flash from SofM. Vici commit quite a lot, but Marla's stuck here in the mid lane with the Rift Herald.
So what was that? That was the most disjointed play when you had a Rift Herald. Ikes took like 50% damage from a Jarvan alone.
When it started out so nicely, yeah.
You can wait. You can wait a little bit for Southwind and Puff to rotate it. That's the call. Wait a little bit so you can come in as a unit. You can use the ulti from Ashe, you know, surprisingly. Not, oh, we've seen her walk up while Poppy is hitting me in the head for like 30 seconds now. It seems like that element of surprise when you have all the vision control bot side is missing.
Similar gameplay from Vici Gaming though, Raz. Especially when you consider, when you look back at V5, having such early leads, having such early control, and then making the mistake almost feels like Snake on a different level. So even though there are mistakes there, and after a lot of summoners burn, still a bit of damage on the mid lane turret ready to be broken down, still forcing summoners at an SofM, but that's their only keepsake at the moment, considering Snake are able to fight back.
That's the biggest point, the fighting back nature of it, because Snake's composition skills surprisingly well. Like, just looking towards, usually you'd say Thresh and Kalista really strong early, fall off later on, but topside's doing very well. Viktor, Vladimir, Jarvan, Cataclysm. That is such a wombo combo, but here we go, fight being started.
Another wombo being started, it's only into the Tahm Kench after the Fate's call down, the flash away from Asura, he just popped up, can't escape, can't jump around. Poppy is annoying for that AD carry, but double TP into the fray. Maestro's going to drop down, the slicing Maelstrom finds one as well. This is the jointedness, if that's even a word, of Vici Gaming, devoured, spit out, tastes like rare meat.
You know what? I bet Flandre wishes he could cancel that teleport. Not gonna happen there, buddy. The fact that Vici got such a great position and good timing on Ikes to come in, the moment Asura starts a 2v2 fight, no information about where the jungler is. He just thinks that that was the best time to do it. You picked the Kalista Thresh for a reason. Just go head first. But you know what? Poppy comes in. You already mentioned it. Steadfast presence when you're just trying to auto attack.
You can't move.
You can't move, buddy. Hard times coming across the lanes here for Snake.
Alright, Snake, well, definitely were the favored coming into the series purely because of Snake's history and their growth as an organization, but almost down 5,000 gold. Let's make it 4, because that's what it is. Maestro trying to breach that gap a little bit more. Chelizi's being caught out, flashes over the wall, won't be hit. Great proto belt to get him out.
Yeah, the proto belt was important there. You're right. The Maestro even aimed that hook to be able to get him when the flash came through. So just to take a look at this replay, like, where is Jarvan? Jarvan mid lane. So the fact that Asura started this fight, he thought it was going to be a pure 2v2, and he had no vision on the bottom side of the map where Ikes could be. So that was just an amateur hour error there. Unfortunate from Snake. So using your teleport to try and respond, knowing that Mala and SofM had priority mid, they didn't get the same information that, you know what, the teleport, you're going straight on top of 4 people, and Jarvan is not close enough to back you up the moment you land. That's a hot drop.
You'd normally be very happy about decision-making. Speaking of the devil again, Southwind just caught out, but SofM comes in. They do rend him down. But look at the re-engage. Puff lands in Channa Crystal Arrow. Ikes in once more. A 1-for-1 trade where Maestro is low. They get the Poppy with no mana. Asura running forward has the spears in, but Ashe is free hitting again. The damage is so easy to be done, and Puff cleans house.
Yeah, Puff says, what are you looking, buddy? Look at me. Oh my
Flandre's dead as well. Vici Gaming all across the map, Raz. It's a bit early again, but I'm happy to get excited about it.
It's that race to MVP, man. Whoever gets this, they're just looking man of the match. Puff making a play top side saying, no. I may be on the Ashe. I can't be dashing around, but I'm still making the plays, getting the kill on Asura. And then you just pop to the bottom lane where Sleepy Trouble Bubble and she just, I don't even know if that one, I want to see a replay to see if the Sleepy Trouble Bubble was even landed. If it was just the paddle star that got the kill.
And look, it doesn't matter if it does, because that's a Void
No,
Star second on Zoe.
It does to me. Let's find out. Is it gonna land? No. He just knows because he's in between a tower. Boom. That wasn't even Sleepy Trouble Bubble. Wait. Proto Belt does it, baby.
Proto Belt up.
Let me, you know, you come out of your coma, you find out that, oh, there's a new champion in the mid lane. She just used Proto Belt. Does she have Proto Belt? No, she doesn't. How did she use that ability?
Hang on, why'd she flash? She's flashed 3 times in this fight. I don't understand what's going on.
Excellent.
It's great when you have a Kennen top who uses Proto Belt. Or rather, it was probably Flandre who used the Proto Belt, but it's great that really it doesn't matter what you get. If it's an activatable item, you're probably going to be fearing for your life.
And you try to just go back to sleep. That's what happens. You wake up, you find out what's the current state of the game, and you're like, take me back.
Put me in for another couple of years. Well, 2-1 and 3 on this Zoe. Remember, I said Void Staff before. Look at the magic penetration already built up. Snake do have a healthy front line, but it's not really going to matter in the face of Jay, who's just kicking ass again on this Zoe. 2,000 gold lead in the mid lane. And in the jungle as well, this Poppy matchup. Raz, you called it so well. It's just been the core here for Vici Gaming.
And the best thing about it too is, I didn't get to talk about specifically the interactions that he had, but going Predator as well, making so it's far more easier. One of the weaknesses that she has is just her ganking power. If she doesn't get the wall slam, and of course mid lane, no walls available really, so thankfully the last gank that he was able to get through mid lane was just a straight dive under tower.
You wait for the Jarvan to create the walls for you.
That too, that one's a wonderful one. Being able to utilize Predator to just get right into the bottom lane and just influence the fight so there's no chance for an escape, that's what I love. To be able to give yourself that element in ganking. That being said, get away from your red buff.
Yeah, I just pop the Predator and Puff's going to pick up a freebie. That's very nice to see. Vici Gaming's bottom lane has been the focus again though. And that's almost 2 items on Puff. He picked up the QSS relatively early as well, meaning that it's pretty much Maestro has to force it out of him. Or anyone really. Vici Gaming able to push up confidently like this with vision control all the way through the top side, and Jay just sitting on the side almost snipes out Maestro on the process.
So close. And I know that all eyes are on Jay and if he can land that Sleepy Trouble Bubble, but for me it's going to be on Puff. Because Enchanted Crystal Arrow, there's no response to that. You could say that the safest lanes out there is either the Xayah Rakan or in this case the Kalista Thresh. But if the Enchanted Crystal Arrow lands on Thresh, he's dead. Here we go though.
And they're trying to force the fight again. Enchanted Crystal Arrow is available. Here comes the ultimate, the surge down from Marla. The fight messy from Snake, who's dead? No one yet. Southwind devours, spits back out, but Hemoplague doesn't do enough. Ooh. Whirling, Jay almost takes them down again. Vici get dangerously low, but Snake hold their mid lane turret.
Yeah, and they can still hold firm to take down this turret because Puff is still alive and he's going to be acting as a frontliner. Take a look to see if SofM can do anything because a lot of damage.
Oh, Jay does it again. Great safeguard there on the backside. You need to get Southwind down. Puff kiting back. SofM almost drops in the process. Chelizi's coming in, doesn't have enough energy, but is just taken down. Flandre does not exist in this game thanks to Zoe.
Was so unexpected because he was going to be playing role of frontliner. The only reason Vici Gaming were really pushing backwards was because Flandre alongside Asura were just acting as their aggressors. So really unfortunate, you know. It's not looking good because Jay's having the game of his life.
It really is. I think Jay's progress so far in this LPL split has been pretty super stellar, if I may say. We started out with seeing him on a lot more Galio games, but now there's been heavy priority on getting him on this Zoe. And you have to say for Vici Gaming, another kill threat, another lane to work in their favor is definitely beneficial with this new mob.
I think it's always hard for a player, especially someone who's coming in for their rookie season, to figure out what their role is. You know, playing out solo queues and in developmental league and being known as an assassin player, someone that actually calls for attention. But then when they're on game day on stage.
Well, hang on. Speaking of rookies, Raz, Puff has just walked into the ultimate. The surge is down again. Chaos Storm is destroying Puff, but Southwind lives. Marla flashes away, and that's what Ike's can do. Vici move forward to the top side of the map. Remember, Baron is sitting there waiting for the bait.
I think they should just go for it. They have Ooh, unless they need to wait one more base. I'd say wait on a base for Puff, get control of red side. You have Tahm, Kench, and Ashe. Literally, you can start a fight whenever you want.
Yeah.
So they have a great composition to bait and good tanks to hold out on Baron if they ever started. So right now, Vici Gaming are in such a death hold here where Snake really don't have many answers other than to clear top and mid lane wave and to just be prepared for it and have SofM maybe peek in there with his flag drag.
But having said that, if Snake can get a fight in that pit, you look at that AoE, you look at their ability to fight in those small chokes, especially with 2-item Kalista, the 2-item Vladimir waiting for Marla to get his second item after the Hex Core. There is still a possibility here, but they have to watch out for Chelizi because he's having a great time. Even in this side lane, Flandre can't match.
Yeah, it's really tough for a Vladimir to be able to answer what is just constant damage flying at your face. And the wave is always against him. I think that's one of the major benefits of the Kennen into the Vladimir matchup is that he will always have wave control here. Vladimir cannot really gain control of that being a mid-range mage here, so yeah. That's a little bit of support. Puff and Southwind are actually going to double down.
And finally getting the turret broken down. More gold for Vici Gaming to capitalize on. And there's the inner for the bottom side. Now for Snake, they've seen this. They're moving towards the mid lane. They want to get Jay. Cataclysm is available. They just can't reach him. Jay just walks out, even if Ike's is nearby.
That's just a really risky call here from Vici Gaming to say that, yeah, we already have our, teleport range to carry bot side who can just chip at the tower. But they just decided to send Puff and Southwind there to speed up the process. Now they have an extra wave to work with, that's great, but they actually could have just gone for this anyways and just looked to bait the fight.
Snake were able to get vision while they're doing that as well, so it's still a bonus. Baron is now cleared, and it means that for Snake, pushing the topside turret is easy. Well, Vici might just have to get Dragon, get the pick. I mean, decision-making now very crucial because Vici Gaming, this is where they fell off in previous games.
It's just really telling, right? It's really telling for Vici Gaming with such a great composition to just go for Baron, either just rush it or look for the fight, to say that we're moving away from it. We're not comfortable making the game just about that one solo objective and being about that one execution that either wins the game fairly quickly or suddenly hands the game off to such a great scaling composition. They don't want to take that risk. So it really proves to us that, like, especially for a team that has been racking up losses, they are hungry for a win. And they're not willing to make any risks to be able to, find themselves back on a losing streak.
But the issue is Snake have Flandre, they have SofM. Hold that thought as Chelizi it's fought out again. But for Snake, though, that experience comes through and shines. Hopefully it does in this game, we'll see. But not getting caught out either, playing it safe. Racking up some of that vision as we talked about before. That's teleport coming towards Baron. Maybe now we finally take it. Scuttlecrab's there, but is it enough to deter them?
It's going to be really rough. I mean, still teleports here for Flandre in the side lane. So what I do want to see that he has the Zhonya's advantage, that for me is important. The fact that Chelizi, a usual pickup item that you would want here, is a Zhonya, so when the team fight ends up starting, you can stick into the back line a little bit longer, but he doesn't want to invest in the armor itself. He wants a little bit of the magic with this. Or at least the spell shield to deal with a lot of the mages being able to just jump on top of his head. So he's gone for that route, which is a little bit more risky. I want to see if it pays off.
I'm sure we'll find out soon. Fight looming around this red side. SofM hanging over the wall. Jay, very smart to the idea. Just poke his head out. Bit of a lull in the action. As you said, considering Vici just have such a big lead here. 8k gold ahead, still not pulling the trigger.
Ooh, I thought he was going to be going for a Void Stab. He actually is going to be going for a, I think Morella Namicon. This is going to be specifically Chelizi that I'm referring to.
Yeah.
So, he's getting to his items, but I already thought the 2 items that he had was going to be like the best position he had in terms of like his relation in a team fight to Flandre. Now Flandre already picked up his 2 items, and I think he's going to be going Void Staff next. If that's the case, then Flandre feels like he's online already, and the damage that he can put on top of Jay and Puff. Vladimir is an insanely strong team fighter in comparison to Zoe. Here we go.
We're going to see exactly that right now. SofM goes in. He's quite low already. Ike misses the hammer. SofM drops, however. Vici Gaming is so far ahead. Chelizi with a slicing Maelstrom. The Enchanted Crystallara saved so late, maybe for good reason. Gravity Surge comes out again, but is not going to find Jay. Not enough damage right now for Marla. And finally, Vici look like they're heading towards this Baron.
Yeah, jungler down means that Vici Gaming can just go for it. But they're really low in terms of HP. Chelizi, not really comfortable. That'll do it. Redemption procced on top of their heads. They're just going to go for a rush.
And Jay even finds Maestro on the back end. It's not safe to check this pit, and with that, Snake have no business being near it. This is going to be Vici Gaming securing Baron, and finally that 10k gold lead is going to be hit.
Good concede from Snake. Even better team fight from Vici Gaming. I loved the fact that they were able to play it out, wait out for SofM to go for an engage. Sleepy Trouble Bubble, just blow him up. And then they played back. They said, okay, we got the team fight we want. Now we'll go for Baron. In the past, they had played out longer fights than they should have. That is what we missed. I love how Jay's playing out today.
Instant Q, instant Sleepy Trouble Bubble. That is a Rabadon's in the making for the Zoe as well. So it's only going to get better. And with level 3 portal jump, he's in it every single, I think it's 3 seconds at level 3. So in the making now for Vici Gaming, another win. There's been a bit of a curse. When you take out RNG, or their series against RNG, Vici Gaming have forced every game 3 they have played. Hopefully we don't see a repetition here, but for Snake, they're in dire straits in this first game.
A lot of that for Vici Gaming is due to that inexperience, right? Even though you could say, you can make the case that Southwind has that experience in the games that he's played, not in top-tier competition, not in the Premier League of the LPL. So a lot of the times when you believe the game is over, there's always that sense of a comeback. And so for Vici Gaming that have strong players in Southwind and Puff, you could even see the potential here for Jay and Chelizi. The new green nature of the team naturally gets them in positions where they lose out winnable situations. So for this team, you want to see them, as you already said, pick up 2 clean victories.
Yeah. Really break the streak that's been going on. Jay over the wall again. Now for Vici, this looks calm, this looks constructed. After breaking the inner, they're forcing with the Poppycopter again. Wait for it. Is it going to be shunned? No, it's not. Ike still has it available. Marla almost gets destroyed. Jay back in. Now this inhibitor threatened away because the mid laner of Snake just can't get in the fight. Safe play again. Vici heading top.
So hard to deal with a GLP Zoe because it just sets up the Sleepy Trouble Bubble. GLP first, Sleepy Trouble Bubble where they are, because that's actually just so hard for them to ever get away. That they have summoners though. Mala and Asura should be able to take this fight.
The issue is he just keeps getting that Hextech GLP. SofM is sick of it, jumps on in, devoured out. Puff is safe, but SofM is not. Redemption again, Poppycopter welled up for a second time. Watch Chelizi in the side, he's being soloed out by Flandre. The Hema plate dropped down and he flashes away. But due to the nature again, Snake lose their top turret. They're now threatened by this Zoe. Jay has a flash available, jumps on in, and that's what you love to see. Vici Gaming, another one, and another inhibitor.
They're playing this one out so smart. Where are they going next, man? Where are they heading to? Bottom side of the map, because they're going to keep this one rolling. I love the fact that they understood SofM ultis in so he can flag drag away and put him in that hot pot. Not going to happen. They keep him there. He keeps alive, but that's a lost team fight now. SofM is just out left there to the wolves.
Here we go. Oh my lord, that was a Proto Belt, that was a Paddle Star. They now go bottom. Marla forced out and Chenekrus Arrow is there. Ike threatening at the front. Vici Gaming have all but secured this game. 3 inhibitors down, and for Snake, those dire straits continue to roll out. This is getting even harder.
I mean, it should have been it. I'm just going to come out and say it.
That's fair.
For a team that has taken down inhibitor after inhibitor, like both top and mid, had Baron buff as well, and had just picked up key targets so they can actually go for the Nexus turrets, they're playing this one out ultra conservatively. So I understand it's a tough one to actually play this one out up against like really talented players. You don't want to lose winnable games. So for a lot of these players, I would say in particular the shot caller of Southwind, he's had to really play it safely. Remember the loss that they had versus RNG, the second one, when Yorick and like Uzi and Amazing J actually just pushed the win.
Yep.
Because that was an incredibly aggressive call coming out from Southwind to go on Baron. And so while they were doing Baron buff, they got backdoored. You hate to see it happen, and that's usually a call for saying, okay, we need to play it smarter. Smarter usually means slow.
Yeah, good adaptation from Vici Gaming. So game 1 is on the verge here. But Snake playing it, you know, close to the chest, but I mean, that doesn't really make sense anyway. Vici just pushing up. And 1 Trouble Bubble from Jay will end it all.
These waves are coming in at the same time. Malo
mind.
has to go back, but look at these waves, both top, mid, and bottom lane. You rarely see super minion waves coming in at the same damn time. Let's go.
It's going to be so hard to defend. Vici
Oh,
Gaming know this well. Flandre has the wave clear with Asura. Snake on the right side here, managed by Top Marla. They then flash in. Flandre gets a Hemo Plague, jumped in by the Cataclysm. Jay survives, but Snake slowly getting cussed out again. Can't get the Dragon Flag. Already a double for the Kennen top. We make even more blood here in the arena. Vici gained a clean team fight with only Chelizi dropping, and that's what you want to see out of the fresh blood. Game 1 for Vici, even in the Snake Pit, nets a win.
That was such a well-played slow push. That, honestly, you rarely see that from the best teams in the LPL here. Staggering waves didn't happen. That was all at the same time. Snake saw it coming, they're like, okay, that's like 10 members coming up against us, because those double super minion waves are packing up a heat. So there we go, big win for Vici Gaming up against Sunic.
And it's rarely that you see played so methodical to the point of, let's just be that tiny bit safe. Like, let's make sure we can't give them any avenues back into the game. That's exactly what Vici did in that very surprising game 1. That is a graph of methodical goal.
Yeah, smooth sailing. The only mistake I could ever say was Jay trying to go for that one solo kill on Mala. It was so tempting.
Yeah.
But he ends up getting blown up. He says, you know what? I'm never going to do that again. So I'll do it when it's much safer and I know that the jungler isn't looming. So pick ban, once again, Long had a phenomenal pick ban here. I thought that Vici Gaming came this one up set up to succeed both top side and even the Tahm Kench rolling out bottom lane. I really love how Vici Gaming has, you know, done their drafting since the beginning of the split. They've lost not because of their draft. They've lost because of just like the errors that they've made on the Rift. So the fact that that's been the case really been a blessing, so they can come out, learn from their mistakes, and have a game like this.
Because there were some of those errors, and what you brought up in that first game was that when some of these teams make, or some of the top teams make those errors, comparing a team like G2, they can recover from them, they can then still work in motion towards that mid to late game. I think here Vici Gaming still worked in motion. Was it in tandem? Was it synergized? Yes, much more than the games we've seen so far.
Yes.
But maybe more to a testament in how Snake reacted to them.
I think Snake reacted well enough because it was SofM recognizing he needs to try and play it slowly, take down control wards that were plaguing the map at that point. And even better from Vici Gaming because they recognize they need to play through Ikes.
Yeah.
Ikes really wants to know where the jungler is, because the only thing that can upset this now in mid game is if Jarvan gets a great gank mid lane or bot lane, like any of these lanes undetected. So they said, okay, both rivers, they're ours now. We don't have vision topside. We're going to be sending Zoe on patrol. Go through the river first and then come back mid. They did it so well that Jarvan was always just having to flag and drag away whenever he's trying to inch forward a little bit more towards the river to get some control wards.
On that note, that started with Chelizi in the top side of the map. I think it was a 6-minute control ward towards the back of red, or at least towards the 10-minute mark.
Even better than that, the fact that he had like push top and then used it to go all the way around with his jungler with Ikes to then just go down to a flashless Viktor in mid lane.
Yeah.
It really goes to show that the communication is getting much stronger for this team.
So you talked about the shot calling there from Southwind. Puff looked exceptional that game as well. I think it was the 1v2 up in the top lane after being forced all the way back. However, it is a good game for Vici to start with. Raz, we've gotten our hopes up before. Is it fair to say, Vici, we can be happy?
They got one game, but they had this problem before. They need to make it a series. Game 2, they need to get a job.
Everyone thinks Vici Gaming should be at the bottom. I don't, but, you know, that's just me. We'll find out. Game 2 coming up right after this.